everybody doing? Now stop.
You ready?
Yep.
All right. Time is now 6:35. We delayed the meeting for 5 minutes to wait till one of our members arrived, and I would like to call to order the Tilton Planning Board meeting of Tuesday, May 27th, 2014. And our first on the agenda is the Planning Board workshop, and that's what we decided to go on and have a meeting instead of just not having a meeting at all, because we do have some major issues to discuss. The first being a discussion of forestry. And I'm going to let Dari start on that, and then I will maybe chime in, or at least end it probably.
All right. Thank you. As you know, we've been dealing with forestry, logging in particular, a little bit lately. At last meeting, we granted a conditional use permit for a logging operation through a wetland. And through that, and through another application, or another notice of intent to cut that's come before the select board, the validity, the legality of our of that element of the zoning ordinance has come under question. And so you have in front of you an email. It says forward Tilton legal question regarding planning board's authority to regulate timber harvesting in a wetland buffer. So I'm going to be looking through that as I'm talking. RSA 674:1(6) states, I'll just read it. In general, the planning board may be given such powers by the municipality as may be necessary to enable it to fulfill its functions, promote municipal planning, or carry out the purposes of this title. So this is kind of where site plan subdivision gets its birth. Such powers shall not include regulating timber harvesting operations that are not part of a subdivision application or a development project subject to site plan review under this chapter. So I looked at that and I said to myself, our ordinance is illegal. And I talked to Joyce about it, and we posed the question, or I think our ordinance is illegal. And we posed the question to New Hampshire Municipal Association, and an attorney came back with a response saying that it is legal. It's even though 674:1 says that, what I just read, 674:21, which is a much newer law, allows for innovative land use controls, including environmental characteristic zoning. And so this lawyer is saying that the fact that the state has allowed planning boards to regulate, to zone based on environmental characteristics, allows for the board to regulate timber harvesting in that way. So that's the response we got from New Hampshire Municipal Association. I have, did I speak with? I exchanged voicemail messages with. I guess I haven't spoken with Jason Stock. He's either the president or the head man, let's say, at the New Hampshire Timber NHTO owners, New Hampshire Timber Owners Timberland Owners Association, and he's more of the thinking that I initially was, that gosh, this isn't legal. But I haven't had a chance to follow up with him and have a final conversation. Sorry, I'm going on and on. I'll wrap it up here and let Jane take over. Basically, I think we need to get this question answered. But another thing that came up in our last meeting, we talked about a little bit, I don't think we fully concluded the conversation, was the notion of, aside from finding out if this is legal or not, the zoning ordinance itself allows for an abbreviated process we talked a little bit about, and the last conditional use permit we granted was done on a slightly abbreviated, through a slightly abbreviated method, but it didn't go as far as the planning board is enabled in zoning as far as making it simple. It could be something, and this is what I brought up last time, is that someone like Al or me, so it's the code enforcement officer or the land use coordinator, is actually empowered by the board, you guys, to make the decision of whether to grant a conditional use permit in a on a logging operation in a wetland. And I think that one benefit of that is it would ease some of the pressure we're getting from the logging industry saying that what we have on the books is illegal. Anyway, I'm just going to stop there because I've been going on forever, and let you guys either comment or let Chairman Alden speak.
Okay, I do have some comments, and I'll go on forever. I think we're all very capable of going on forever on most anything. But one of the things that Dari and I have gone back and forth on this issue. I have some real concerns about us turning everything over to an administrative process only because of what has occurred in the situation on School Street. And this is not over yet. And the reason it's not over is that tomorrow a member of the state is going to be there, very, very concerned, and I want to read the letter. This letter is from Joyce Duweiler. I received a phone call from Bert Von Dorman, forest ranger. His callback number is, and she gave the callback number, he was on the property this morning, meaning the School Street property, and issued a summons to Steve Strait for violating timber cutting laws. He also called Mr. Fillion, and Mr. Fillion said he was pleased with the cutting job. Now, he's the property owner. Ranger Von Dorman wanted to notify the town, since he was aware that the town had issued a conditional use permit, that he has made a mess of the stream crossings. I contacted NHDES Linda Magoon in Wetlands and left a lengthy voice message with the above information and added that our code enforcement or health officer may be contacting her, and that's the state's code enforcement and health officer. In addition to that, I guess Linda Magoon later called, and she had gone on a visit to Tilton School to look at that piece of property, saw what was going on at School Street, and is coming in tomorrow, and very possibly will take some kind of action to stop what's going on because it is such a mess. Wow. And as I said to Dari, and maybe I was really glad that we at least did our job according to code enforcement by having them get the wetlands permit. And because of this, I think it's a learning situation for all of us. Because of this, I'm hesitant to turn everything over to an administrative function. And we're discussing, and Dari is thinking of it from an efficiency standpoint. I'm thinking of it from a planning board standpoint, and that's what we have taken an oath to do to protect the town of Tilton. I'm also thinking of it from a citizen in the town of Tilton. And I'm also thinking of it for the future of the generations to come in terms of protecting our wetlands and our aquifers. So that's why I'm hesitant to turn it over strictly to an administrative situation. However, one thing that Dari did bring up was that what is time consuming and what is stopping the operation from getting on board immediately is the fact that we send them to the Conservation Commission. The Conservation Commission meets once a month. So we may want to start thinking about how we can change that process. I'm just throwing these things out because that's what this is, a workshop to talk about these things. But I'm extremely glad that we did take the action we took in this particular case, because all the fears of all of those many abutters that were here are coming to fruition. He's
And-
making an absolute mess.
What is the thing that's happening up there?
He's-
I've been through that property and I examined it extremely well a year or so ago.
Mhm.
And I'm not sure what's happening up there now, but I'm surprised that there is something happening that's.
They're cutting timber, they're logging the property.
Yeah, but are they making a mess as they do it?
They're making a mess at the wetlands crossing.
And
And I don't know if you've driven up there lately, the whole staging area is pretty much, have you seen it lately?
I haven't.
Of course, I have to go by there. But, you know, and this is a state forest ranger who's saying that they've made a mess of the stream crossing. And that's the area that we're real concerned with, the stream crossing. That's our wetland.
Right.
That's what we discussed in Link the other night. That's what he committed to us, he would take care of that. And I think even early on, before the whole conditional use permit came out, when just a selectman and a code enforcement officer went out, oh, we'll take care of this, we won't. Well, they're apparently not taking care of it,
that's
okay?
something to be concerned about.
And at this point in time, because of this letter, and because of what's gonna transpire tomorrow, this is not just in our hands at the moment. But I am glad that we did take this action in this case, because it's gonna make the town look like we're concerned, not a bunch of fools that just allow loggers to go in and do whatever. We have another issue with another piece of property, and the logger has absolutely flat out refused to get a wetlands permit, saying it's illegal. At this point in time, and it seems to me that we need to get more than a free legal opinion, which it means we're going to spend town money. And I would like permission to go to the selectmen this Thursday night and request, because of this particular situation and the one coming up, that I don't want to see us in this position again. I don't want us to be doing something or have an ordinance that is illegal. And getting free legal advice is not going to give us the correct answer. I would like to see the selectmen, I have Joyce contact Dan Crean and get a definitive legal answer on this, and we can go from there.
Don't we already have some answers that we can apply to this mess that's been created?
Not a legal the question, Bob, is whether or not our requiring a conditional use permit is legal. That's the question. And we do not have an answer. We have a free legal opinion.
But we do have some rules about what condition you leave the property in after you do some logging.
Not if you go by what we read originally. It's not our business. It's hands off. That's why the whole legal question has come up.
Well, I think much of what of the things that happen in this town that are upsetting to people are things which we have rules for controlling which are not applied, and I'm taking a direct shot at this point at the enforcement, the people in the enforcement part of our city control that are supposed to make people do the right thing, and they're not doing it. They just step out of the way and let it happen.
I think your point is well taken, and we've addressed that in the past. However, right now, tonight, our concern, we need to focus on this logging and forestry issue.
Mhm.
Okay, we can bring that up at another meeting, but right now we need to get back to this.
Oh,
And what I'd like to do is-
I'm right on this.
And what I'd like to do is have permission to ask the selectmen to get a legal opinion from Dan Crean, which means money, that's why I need,
Do you need a motion for that?
I do.
I would make a motion that we ask Jane to go to the selectmen's meeting, or Chairman Alden to go to the selectmen's meeting on Thursday night and request that we be able to spend the money to have a legal opinion from Dan Crean
I second it.
on the validity of our,
All in favor?
you know what I'm saying over there, right?
All opposed?
Yep.
He's following the.
Okay, so done. And I will do that, and
Okay.
then we can move forward based on that.
Well, that's
If we,
it.
if in fact, this is illegal, then we will have to change that portion of the zoning ordinance. And we'll have to step back.
Put
I
this to
don't like
bed one
that.
way. Well,
Is that the
Put it to
wetlands
bed one way or
permit that
another.
they're saying is illegal?
The conditional use permit. What Dory basically read, you want to read that again, where it says that we really stay out of,
Yeah,
Put it right in.
so,
yeah, it's,
and this is kind of this is a high level planning RSA. This isn't like buried down. This is pretty much at the top. In general, the planning board may be given such powers by the municipality as may be necessary to enable it to fulfill its functions, promote municipal planning, or carry out the purposes of this title. And then here's where such power shall not include regulating timber harvesting operations that are not part of a subdivision application or a development project subject to site plan review under this chapter.
So the conditional use is stepping on timber harvesting operations?
Exactly, potentially. Yeah, that's what we're being told by
That's
the
what
timber.
we're being
Like
told.
teeny
Timber.
part.
Yeah.
My position, if I were in court arguing this, is that the intent of that is to not take away the right of a landowner to harvest his own timber. In other words, if I have 5 acres of timber, I should have the right to go out and harvest that.
Right.
Cut down a tree if I want to for firewood or whatever.
Yeah.
I don't, this is just me. I would not say the intent is that to restrict, I think how can I put this? I don't think what is happening is that people are going out and cutting trees, an acre of trees to burn for firewood or whatever. I think what people are doing because of the economic situation right now is trying to find ways to make money. They have a huge piece of property that they're being taxed on. They've got all these trees and there's money in logging. So they're going out and getting a professional logger to come in. And I'm not sure that that's the intent of this loophole, if you will. I think it can be argued either way.
Can I add one thing actually that just came to mind? It was a conversation Catherine Dawson and I were having the other day, and I said, because she was sort of saying agreeing with what you're saying, and really feeling, I don't know, I'm not ready for the planning board to completely let go of this, and she said this isn't actually regulating the entirety of the timber harvesting operation. It's
Correct.
just regulating them going through the wetland. And then I said, you know, that's a good point. It would be like saying if a guy finished, he loaded up his truck with a bunch of logs and then took off down the road at 100 miles an hour. And he got pulled over by the police, and he said, "You can't pull me over. This is a logging operation. I'm protected by the state." There's, it's so just something.
Or the logger taking all of the trash that he has and taking it down here and dumping it in the river
Right.
and saying you can't do anything about it. I
It's
can
the
do
logging
whatever I
right.
want.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm saying. I don't think if I had to go to court and argue this, I would say that's not the intent of this.
Yeah.
The intent of this is to protect me from going out and cutting down a few trees
And not getting hassled by
and
the
not
planning
getting
board.
hassled
Yeah,
by the
right.
planning board.
Yeah.
But it's not to allow a commercial company Because that's what this is.
Yeah.
It's a commercial company. That's how I see it.
Yeah, and you know, if we do get a legal opinion, certainly we should share the other response that we got, and it's talking a lot like you are. It's saying the legislature enacted the cited provision because there were some planning boards that wanted to regulate the cutting of every tree on every parcel, even though the owner had no subdivision or non-residential use in mind. So he, you know, and this is someone who was likely kept a, you know, he was there watching the legislature when this actually happened. So he maybe, yeah, he maybe.
Okay, good. That'll settle it. But this is, to me, this is a case in point of all the committees or whatever you could ever want to be on. That's why the planning board's the most fun. No, really, it is. Because
Yeah, I agree.
has anybody else got any comments to make that we can, that I can take to the selectmen?
Some funny comments?
Any other
Great.
comments? I'm just funny. They'll just look at me and laugh anyway, so it doesn't matter.
Well, I don't understand. I mean, if they're not doing anything wrong, what is the problem with them getting what they need to get from the town? I mean, it should be regulated anyway, right? No?
Maybe I don't understand your question.
Okay, well,
They got what they wanted from the town. They got a wetlands permit.
okay.
I guess the question is, do we have a right to tell them they need to get a wetlands permit?
Well, it's in our town.
But according to what Dari just read, which is at a state level, which supersedes town law,
Okay.
it's questionable as to whether that's true or not. Do we have that right? And that's why I want to get Dan Crane's opinion.
We had,
Yeah.
maybe within the last 3 or 4 years, we had quite a bit of discussion going on about what to do about wetland situations, especially having to do with cutting of trees in the wetland areas and the damage that was caused when that was done in an unregulated situation. Within that context, I'm quite sure were some stipulations about what you could do in the wetlands and what you couldn't do in the wetlands as far as cutting trees were concerned. And it seems to me that with that attention that was given to what could be done in the wetlands areas, having had that much attention recently, it seems that there must have been some kind of thought that went into the idea of what can be done and what can't be done and why.
Well, Bob, I think I've been on the planning board, this is my third term, I think, my third term. And I don't remember an issue coming up. There were only 12 requests to cut, intents to cut last year. Only 12. And I don't remember any one of those coming up. We've had issues involving the wetlands, but do you remember one coming up on logging? I don't remember any on logging at all.
Oh,
And this is specific to the logging industry.
Yeah, well, this wasn't specific to logging.
Well, that's what this is,
To
and
the
this is
logging
what,
industry.
this
It
is why
was-
we need it, you
It
know.
was specific to what dangers or what let's see, undesirable things would occur when wetlands when logging was done in wetland areas. And it just seems to me that there was. there
I
should
know
have
we've
been
had
something-
wetland, I know we've had issues concerning wetlands, and on the Grange Road is an issue of where there were issues with the wetlands. But that was for building, and that involved the setback in wetland,
I guess,
when the wetlands were the buffer, not logging per se.
yeah,
But now it's what, just the beginning of the season, and we've already had 3 requests to cut, and 2 are involving wetlands, and maybe is the third also?
Third is too.
And the third
big
is
time,
also
yeah.
involving wetlands.
okay,
So I think this is a time to nip it in the bud, if you will, because I think
Yeah.
we're gonna see more rather than less.
yeah, I think probably the reason I'm feeling this way is because there was a time on the planning board, before you were on it, that I was involved in a situation where I was not very well liked by the chairman at that time. And they took some undesirable things that needed to be investigated that nobody wanted to have anything to do with and assigned it to me. And then they allowed no progress to happen on that particular issue. And I guess that's probably where I'm coming from. Because the other parts of the community, when I say community, I'm talking about Laconia and the conservation areas which overlap, the duties which overlap between the communities. They were involved in it, I was involved in it, I was assigned to their committee, I was ignored by our committee here, and somehow or another, that particular thing kind of just died out without having anything positive accomplished from it, which reflects on me.
Well, I think that this
And,
forestry discussion is definitely
and that
something
was-
that will
that
reflect
was-
positively on us if we
This-
get the correct answer.
Yeah, well, this was definitely the area that they were looking at,
In forestry?
in forestry and wetlands.
Okay.
And
Now, if we don't protect the wetlands and have the permit, who's gonna protect them, the state?
Well, that is basically, supposedly, yes, but basically that was my point earlier when, with Dari, and I basically said to him, you don't live in this town, you really don't
Okay.
care. And I didn't say, didn't say it that way.
No, your point was.
What
well
I
taken.
said is, I live in this town. What goes on in this town means something to me. And the town meeting has given us the responsibility of taking care of what is in this town. And I feel that's very important. I take that very seriously. Dari is sitting in an office, and I'm not trying to diminish Dari's importance because God knows he's very, very important. But he's sitting in an office wanting to be efficient, wanting to be able to tell a logger who comes in that he can start working in 10 days or 5 days or whatever. Because of these ordinances and because of our process, he can't do that. So we're not really at cross purposes, but because he doesn't really feel that way, and I know that. But we are looking at it very differently.
Does the state inspect every single site that has wetlands, or they just pick here and there to do their job?
Well, they have to put in a request, don't they, with the state?
Yeah.
And they get forestry involved in it. I think a forest ranger is the one that goes out and looks at it, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I think I don't know all the details. There are multiple agencies involved. The forest ranger, the person I'm guessing is from DRED, Department of Resources and Economic Development. The intent to cut is a Department of Revenue Administration form, and the permit to do the work is through the Department of Environmental Services. And so the way the process works is basically when you submit the intent to cut form comes with a piece of paper attached to it, letting the logger know that that he or she may need to get some sort of approval from the Department of Environmental Services. Then they go to the Department of Environmental Services, and based on the level of impact, there are a variety of levels of permitting that they may need to go through. Most of what we've seen, like the one that was approved at last meeting, was underwent the lowest level of permitting, the easiest permit to get through DES. If he was going to have more impact, he'd have a more of a permitting process through them.
Okay, any
So
more on
what
forestry?
happens? What happens then if we're not legal? Are we gonna fight that? No?
If our attorney says that it's illegal for us to do,
I'm not gonna find it,
who would fight it for us?
You'd have to
That's
fight
our
the
attorney
state.
telling us.
Okay.
okay?
Okay, so they can just walk all over us.
Unless we just stand there and watch them log. Call the ranger up.
Yeah. All right.
As I say, and I preface it by saying, I think we will, because of the economic times, we'll see more rather than less of this. And we do have a lot of wetlands, and we have a lot of property that's over the aquifer.
All of it.
And
It
so
is.
anyway,
Okay.
I want to make that point. All of it is wetland. Everything under Tilton.
well, in terms, when I'm saying wetland, I'm talking in terms of what a wetland scientist would define as wetland. And that's the reason when we talked earlier about keeping the Conservation Commission out of it, the reason I'm hesitant to do that is that I'm not a wetland scientist. Neither the Conservation Commission. However, they have funds to pay a wetland scientist to come in if it comes to that. Or they can say to the logger, you have to, or the owner of the property, you have to have a wetland scientist come in, and he has to bear the burden of that. We, as the planning board, do not have that authority, but the Conservation Commission does. So that's why, again, there's a reason I'm hesitant. It's not that, I think it's designed, set up the way it is for a reason,
Yeah.
because the planning board doesn't have that kind of money to dole out. But I think we beat the dead horse, so let's go to the Main Street discussion. If nobody has anything.
I saw that on the agenda, I'm like, oh, God.
Well,
man.
do you want to say, you want me to talk about how this came up? So
Yes, sure, yeah.
well, we've all been concerned about Main Street. I mean, that goes without saying, not the reason we're going to talk about it tonight, but all of us have been concerned about Main Street. We've been concerned about the merchants on Main Street. We've been concerned about the fact that we have exit 20 merchants with one goal, and we have downtown merchants with another goal. And, you know, what can we do as a planning board to help it? One of the issues, we had that big meeting on signage. Not a thing has come about as a result of that big meeting we had, even though it made front page of the newspaper. We have definite ordinances. Not a thing is done to enforce those ordinances. It's all pick and choose, and it's like the squeaky wheel gets the most oil or whatever.
Yeah.
It's not done in any consistent basis. But we do have a problem in this town in terms of Main Street. I don't want to see downtown Tilton become downtown Franklin.
So sad.
I personally do not want that.
Actually, if you look at downtown Franklin, they've got some new things going on.
I just went down there before I started thinking about the Main Street here, and they've still got a lot that's in pretty
You
bad
know,
shape.
they have things going on, like
Yeah.
Northway Bank is being taken
Yeah.
over by A.W. Frost. They've given them a moratorium on their taxes so that they would upgrade the buildings. They've got a lot of those things in the works that you don't physically see at
Yeah.
the moment. But they're doing a lot in their downtown.
Well, anyway, what are we gonna do in our downtown? And one of the members of the planning board, who isn't with us tonight, approached Jeannie Forrester. And I had talked to Jeannie a couple of years ago because she at one time was a town administrator, I believe in Meredith. And she had done some things with the Main Street. So they asked Jeannie if she would come and talk to the planning board about it. And I said, that would be great, but let's include all the people who have an interest in Main Street. And, because I think we have a lot of differences. There's a lot of difference between Meredith and Tilton. Tilton is unique, just as Franklin is unique, or whatever. Every town is different. And so, from that, we picked the date of June 10th. And these are the people I came up with. Jeannie, because she's already been invited, so let's make a list, and because we'll add to it. I don't have a problem adding to it. Alan Powell. For those of you who do not know Alan Powell, he owns the Tilton Inn. The Paratories, Sarah and Vince,
Sarah and who?
and Vince,
Okay.
because they were the last people to be in charge of the Main Street program.
Whatever became of all the funds that Main Street program had left over?
May I borrow a
Nothing.
pen or a pencil from
No,
someone?
they've been dispersed.
They have?
Yes.
I have no idea.
There should be one right here.
I don't know. The last I heard, I was going to go to a selectmen's meeting because I had information, because there were some individual merchants who wanted it, and they couldn't have it because they're not 501Cs. It has to be given to 501Cs, according to that piece of paper that you gave me a long time ago. And I was gonna go to the selectmen's meeting and address it, because these merchants were coming to the selectmen's meeting, but they never showed up. But I will find out, because that's very interesting. So the
Ask
Paratories,
Billy Lawrence.
okay, that's the other person.
Billy was part of the decision-making process.
The other,
Lawrence.
that's another person that I was gonna invite to the meeting, Billy Lawrence. And the reason I was gonna invite Billy Lawrence is that he has a lot of the history, I believe, of what's been done in downtown Tilton. The other person I was gonna invite was Gail Trombley. She was the very first person to be involved in the Main Street program. She's the one that got the whole ball rolling. I do not know the name of the person who bought St. Bonnie's Press, but he's
Yeah.
very interested. You know his name?
Yep, I'll call him.
Okay. Well, I'd like us to send out a letter. Don't you think that would be
Oh,
more appropriate?
okay, yep.
What do the rest of you feel?
I just like how all of a sudden Dara's like, oh, me, okay, wait a minute.
Provide snacks.
Well, we can't.
Oh, we
well,
should, yeah, actually.
I'll get Alan to provide them, since he's
Yeah, right.
since he didn't take me with him to Bermuda now.
What time is this meeting gonna be?
What's our regular planning board meeting?
Oh, 6
Okay.
seconds.
But I don't think we should invite them. We have a case that night too. We have the continuation.
Yeah.
We have the continuation of the piece of property on Route 3.
Right.
The blue house is all I can
So
think
far.
of.
First
Yeah.
case of the year.
Yeah. However, have you heard anything from them at all?
No. Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if it got continued again, but
Well, we can't count on that. So
Right.
let's make this meeting at 7:30. Would that make it safe? And then we can
Okay.
get through with all of our correspondence, all of our minutes and everything
that's a great idea.
prior to that.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Do you think it's enough notice? It's only 2 weeks from
Well,
now.
the Paratories know about it. Jeannie knows about it. I told Alan, whether he will remember or not, I don't know.
Would it be possible you told the planning board about things before you told the public?
Well, it was sort of, we didn't have a
Well, it's
Wasn't-
not, yeah, it's not like it's already
I'm
been,
coming to meetings, I'm hearing about stuff, we don't know anything in between. Then we're asked to make decisions on the spur of the moment.
like what?
Like this tonight, we
this.
get to read all this stuff. It's like, why didn't we hear about any of this before?
well,
Why
you,
Because it just
why does
came-
Alan and
'cause it
Gail
just
and
came
everybody
up.
know about this meeting and we haven't been asked about the meeting?
Well, somebody on the planning board arranged for Jeannie to be here June 10th. It doesn't have to be June 10th. We can have it any other time. What day would you like?
The answer to your question is simply that things don't happen that way. Things happen when they happen, and that's when you hear about them. And until the moment that you hear about them, you haven't heard about them. And that's just simply the way it is in the world.
I went to see Alan tonight. He's not here, so he doesn't know the date. He knew we were going to have a meeting at some point. But we talked about that, I believe, when we had the signage meeting, that we were going to have a meeting at some point
Right.
to talk about Main Street. So I went over to see him just before to see how that date sounded to him. To my knowledge, the only one that knows for sure is Jeannie Forrester, because that's the date the person who approached
You just
Jeannie
said the
Forrester.
territories are available that night.
No, I don't know that they are available that night. I asked them to be available for a meeting, and she said she didn't know whether they both would be or not.
I think everybody that owns property on Main Street should be invited.
Absolutely,
Well, we could do that.
that is a good.
I don't think it's fair to
Is-
pick and choose certain
is there an
business owners and
organization
not
that,
others.
is there a chamber of commerce that, or a, okay,
That was the former Main Street
oh, okay.
Association.
So we're gonna have to meet upstairs rather than.
Yeah, we'll have to meet upstairs.
Yeah, and I will have to research a way to get in touch with as many Main Street businesses as possible. Maybe
Yeah.
we send a letter out just to every business.
Well, some of these people are not businesses, like Gail Tromley is not.
Right,
She
but,
and the Territories are not. Jeannie Forrester is not.
Well, one of the things that's happening, that's right now amongst us here, is we're discovering that in our attempts to do the right thing, we don't always get it done right because we do things like we're doing now. Who should we have at this meeting? And we're coming up with a list which is out of the minds of the people that are here. And yet we talk about Main Street. As soon as you say Main Street, you must include everybody on Main Street. And
Totally agree, Bob.
incidentally, I'm going to let you people know that something happened tonight which has clarified my position relative to this board. And that is that I really don't deserve to be a member of it anymore for a simple reason. My mind still works fine and comes up with a lot of good stuff. But as soon as I put a pencil in my hand and try to write stuff, I'm lost. I can't keep up with you. Since I had I've had 2 strokes. Since I had my stroke, my hands can't keep up with my mind. And we started writing down some names here, and I got somebody to get me a pen. And I got Bill Lawrence's name down, and I got Yale, somebody else's name down. And from there on, I was not able to keep up with what was going on. Now, what I'm saying is that though my mind may be well enough to have some good ideas from time to time, I have a tendency to get lost as soon as we pick up a pencil. And that was demonstrated to me very strongly tonight. I got this thing here. There was no way I could stay with you as soon as I started writing. So what I'm saying is I think perhaps that though I have some good ideas that might be useful from time to time, I think it's unfair that I remain a member of.
But Bob, that's why we have the tape recorder.
Yes, I know.
Oh,
But
my
I-
goodness, you're such a wealth of information. Why would you leave? Every time you open your mouth, I'm like,
Judy just pointed out to me that I said, the Paratori said they would be here, and I said, I didn't give them, and I don't know what I said. I mean, I could go back and look.
Mhm.
At the end of the last meeting, somebody said, well, I didn't do that, and I said, yes, you did, and, you know, that's why we tape things, so we can go back and look. And I would hate to see you leave because of that. That's why we pay Dari, because he can write down all, seriously.
Right.
So, I mean, because you can't keep up with the writing is not any reason to do that. I think you're welcome, and I think, you know, you do have information that will be helpful to us,
Yes, yes.
Well, I thank you all. And
okay?
maybe I'm
Just don't write it
I'm
down.
not a permanent member anyway, I'm just a.
You're an alternate.
I'm
But there are
alternate.
times we need you, like tonight we would need you for a vote to do the minutes.
Thank you.
Don't leave us, not yet. Don't bail on us.
I
We
will-
need you.
I won't
The-
bail on you, but I guess I have to say that I have some inefficiencies, and it showed up in a way that was very plain and clear and.
But we didn't know it, we wouldn't if you hadn't told us.
Yeah,
And your efficiencies way outweigh your inefficiencies.
thank you.
One of the people I wanted to invite, to get back to this, is somebody who's involved in grant writing for the Brownsville program.
Mm.
I'm not sure I want to invite her to something that's going to be everybody in the town, because she would be the person who would guide us in terms of how to get money for it.
Mm.
You see what I'm saying?
Why wouldn't you want to invite her with everybody?
Because I don't think the Winnipesaukee Trail invited her when they started talking about Ernie's in the beginning. They waited until they had a firm direction that they wanted to go, and then they went to the Brownsville. That's a grant. We're talking a great deal of money, and I'm not sure that to have her in for a brainstorming would be the time to do it. I think maybe we should wait. What do you guys think?
I think you should ask her, because I know when we were writing grants, I was on the grant writing committee for the park down here, and all of a sudden, because of what we got at the public meetings, we said, okay, if we put this in, we can get this money, if we put this in, we can get that money. And so she might come up with something that
Something
says,
some other
oh,
time.
somebody mentioned this, and I can get you a grant for that. And it
Okay.
might be a $5,000 one, but I can get you 20,000 over here. But
Okay.
I'd bring it up to her and
Okay.
ask her opinion,
Okay, as to whether she should be here or not?
Yep.
Okay.
because she might glean something out of it, or she might just say, no thanks, call me when you're ready.
And you think that June 10th is too soon to have this meeting?
I don't,
That's 2
Can't
weeks
read a
away.
I potentially think we could get a better turnout, make a, better catering, all that stuff if we had a little bit more time, but.
So the meeting after that?
But then we're running into vacations.
yeah.
Yeah.
then it
And
stops
the
leaving.
fact that,
Yeah.
one of our members who's not here tonight does have sort of a is that time slot held for,
I don't know.
Forrester? Okay.
I know that when she told you and me just out of the blue that
Right.
she did it.
Yeah.
I can call Jeannie and find out, you know.
But she's
Jeannie's flexible.
well, she's kicked off her campaign and she's quite booked.
Yeah.
How about a special meeting?
Well, she'd probably rather, if knowing that waiting a month, 2 weeks or a month means a bigger turnout, she'd probably prefer that, right?
Well, we can't make it a political issue.
Well,
Okay.
I'm not saying that, I'm just saying, I'm not trying to gear it to get the biggest
No, I
turnout
know,
for her,
but
I'm just saying.
Let me give her a call and see if that was the date that she thought she
Yeah,
was
okay,
coming.
all right.
I'll do that tomorrow.
If you decide to do the 10th, and I saw you looking over at me, I'm fully on board, and I should be able to develop the notices and letters and everything that we need to be able to do it. Just seems like we could get a bigger turnout if we waited a little longer.
Okay,
Yeah.
anything else? Anybody, think of anybody else we could invite?
At the, I have my notes on that meeting. Tom Kavanaugh was here.
Well, he would, yeah. That was the
Well,
sign, that was the sign ordinance.
Because they don't, right, but that's when we talked about all the downtown issues, was that meeting. And,
Well, I think he came because a letter went out to the merchants. It was in the paper, the merchants were meeting, so that AutoServe would get a notice,
well, if you,
and they could
so I didn't
send
know if you were
who.
talking just inviting the downtown merchants and then, because Bernard was here, Kavanaugh was here. Would the notices go out to every merchant in town?
I don't know, see,
Because those guys attended that meeting and had input on what they felt would help beef up the downtown.
I think we should invite them all, and then if they don't want to show up, fine. But at least they've been invited. They're not going to feel like they're slighted or like, what, because we're not in town, downtown, we're not invited.
Well, it doesn't mean they don't care and don't have some good ideas for
Yeah.
downtown.
Right, the ones who'll show will be the ones who care.
Of course, we should invite the selectmen.
Should invite
well,
them all.
we can open it, we
And of
can
course-
notice it in the paper and
Right, I
not
was gonna
send out
say-
letters and let anybody who wants to come.
The world is invited,
That's-
sorry.
Yeah.
See, that to me defeats the purpose of trying to really get started on something. But maybe we can start as a big meeting and then narrow it down.
Right.
Get people to sign up who are interested in
Yeah,
working.
I mean, at some point, maybe this evolves to a Main Street committee or a Main
Yeah.
Street, whatever it is, initiative. And at that point, there's certain,
Yeah.
whatever, committee members, and I don't know.
But last
And there
time,
may
we
be-
opened it up to everybody and look how few Main Street merchants showed
Yeah,
up.
that's true. All right, let's just open it up
All right,
and
all right.
instead of sending letters, notice it in the paper,
Okay.
okay? And then, we'll go from there. And maybe some of these people know some grants that are available. The Main Street program was a state program that got federal money.
Okay.
That dried up. I don't know whether the federal money dried up or not.
Yeah,
The federal money dried up?
I was on the initial Main Street program for Tilton.
Is that why the program dried up? Because the money dried up?
Yes. Because then we had to depend on more of our own fundraising, that type of thing, and it just wasn't able to. That was a full-time job in itself, and it was a volunteer type thing.
So, why did the money dry up?
Because the
Feds decided not to fund it anymore.
Okay, no, there wasn't, they didn't have a specific reason, they just said, that's it.
No, like some Main Streets still have a Main Street program, but they're funding themselves now. They're not getting federal funding anymore.
Okay. Good to know that kind of stuff.
And we don't have a town that's got a lot of money to spend on things like that.
Downtown's not vibrant enough to.
No.
And there was a lot of citizens that have money, they just have it because they don't share it.
So we're just gonna put it in the newspaper?
I guess so.
I just don't think everybody's reading the newspaper. It's all
Well-
electronics and I think maybe some posters on, some of the businesses or something like that.
I think
I don't think
something,
the newspaper.
We
will
can
not.
send out a flyer,
Yeah, like
It's
a
just the
flyer.
time. I mean, that kind of stuff is.
and it's costly too. We don't
Well-
have that kind of money.
I mean, it's I guess an observation I've made over the last few minutes of discussion is that this probably needs to be a very preliminary meeting, and that something with flyers and notices and things like that, like sort of some like a that we promote almost like a work, like a, what do you want to call it, like when a town has its energy fair or something for the year. It's almost like a big event
Yeah.
that maybe we want to gear toward.
And the problem I have with June is that Old Home Day is in June. And it's gonna compete with that, maybe,
The third week of June?
the last week.
Is that well attended?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, what about, so you're trying to get a booth at Old Home Day to promote the Main Street, and yeah, we just need to have a discussion
You can't.
starting this
Yeah.
off, yeah.
You can't.
Alright.
Well, unless you want to sponsor it.
I don't,
mean, you know.
I don't even know what it looks like or anything, yeah, I
The
don't,
more we're talking about this, the more I think we need to hold off on having it.
I agree,
I don't think this is the time of year to do it.
yeah.
Maybe
Really?
fall.
But how about if we, in our next time we have a workshop or whatever, start doing up a survey? We could at least get a
Yeah.
survey on SurveyMonkey on the website and just start
Yeah.
getting some input from people.
Yeah.
So that we're not completely dragging our heels. Start, getting some ideas from people of what they think we could do to help revitalize our downtown.
And maybe get in touch with the Brownsville people to see what grants are available. They can send them
Yeah.
and then we could discuss them.
Because she may say, well, if you guys do this
Yeah.
and this, I got money for that.
Yeah.
Kind of go in the back door on it.
Yeah, I think that's a smart thing to do.
Yeah.
Well, you've had more experience at it than a lot of us, so.
We used to,
With
the
the grants
merchants
and stuff.
downtown, we used to be a unique group because we would help each other wash our buildings. Those planters out front, we'd maintain our planters, we'd shovel each other's walks, we'd be up and down the street talking to each other if it was slow. We were very tight, we'd go, what are you doing Friday night? Nothing. Okay, let's all stay open late. And we'd all pitch in, put an ad in the paper and all stay open late. I mean, but we took care of our
Nice.
businesses down there. But we made our own program. We didn't, we just all got together. Every time a new merchant would come in, we'd bring them flowers, welcome them to the neighborhood. It was a
Well, I really
nice
like
tight group.
that, yeah.
Okay, I'll get in touch with the Brownsville, that woman.
Okay, so are we
Okay.
gonna, is
And
our
I'll call
decision,
Jeannie
sorry.
and tell her that we're postponing it,
Okay,
okay?
alright,
And the other people don't know, I'll see Al on Saturday and say we're gonna wait and do stuff.
How much
sometime.
effect do you think, if any, not having summer fair downtown anymore?
I personally think was a bad move not to.
So what can we do to help the Parks Department revitalize that? Get it again. I guess we'd have to ask the Parks
I was
Department.
gonna say, when I talked the last time as a budget committee member, the last time that we talked about it and suggested it, we were told it was didn't have the time or the money.
It makes money.
I know,
Wait a minute.
I know.
We charged for the
But
minutes.
I'm just saying that's
Yeah.
what we were told on the budget committee. We asked that question.
So what, somebody's afraid of work or something?
When Catherine's here, we might wanna ask her.
Really?
Yeah,
She's on the Parks Commission.
because Peter had said the same thing, as we just don't have the manpower. I'm like, I can get you the manpower, that's not the question. Because that started out as just a downtown
And it was,
craft fair that
and the
craft
thing
locked
was,
in.
the merchants were really the manpower.
Hmm.
The merchants were the manpower, and I think the fire department helped.
Well, I don't know if you were here when Crafters Loft was downtown. That's how Summer Fair started, was he said, let's do a craft fair. And we said, okay, and not knowing any better, we just went, marked out spots with chalk and charged crafters to come, and that's how the whole thing started, was because, again, a bunch of merchants got together and go, let's do a giant craft fair on the street, and we did. But yeah, that was, they just made that all happen. That was his thing.
Okay, anything else on Main Street? We're gonna postpone it, probably till the fall. I'll contact Jeannie. I'll get in touch with the Brownsfield person.
And we're gonna start with surveying, maybe at the next workshop meeting.
Yeah, the next workshop meeting, put together a survey.
Yeah, sure.
Would you put that in your notes to follow up on?
Yeah, it's, when I put together the minutes, it'll come out,
Okay.
but yeah,
I
yeah.
don't know what to do with that. I don't know.
All right, moving right along.
That was in July.
I remember that was one of the first things when I came to Tilton that made me want to move to Tilton was the fair downtown. I thought that was the neatest thing. There were kids and there were bands playing and there were merchants being ducked in that dunker thing in front of. And it was fun. I mean, there was such a big turnout. But you have to get permission to close the main
Well,
street.
see,
You gotta
we
get-
didn't at first.
You have to.
Close
You would
Main
have
Street
to
at
now
first.
though, because the route through. I mean, my God, on a Saturday, putting things in the middle of the street, you get people killed. All right, several of you,
Yeah.
several of you have referred to this cute little thing. Are you tired of me yet? Is that how it's what it says?
Oh. Are you sick of me
Are
yet?
you sick of me yet?
Yeah.
All right, the last thing on our workshop is discuss amending the site plan and subdivision regulations to include a waiver procedure. And correct me if I abbreviate this too much.
Okay.
This letter, and this isn't something, Judy, that I think this is, I just read it before the meeting, so. I mean, this is just something that, Dari makes a lot of money. And because Dari makes a lot of money, Dari,
gonna sponsor
let me
the
say
downtown
that
event.
Dari,
Yeah.
let me preface it by saying, and I'm giving him a hard time, but Dari is very efficient, just in the
Oh.
fact that he is Dari.
It's been a delight.
He is also very, very knowledgeable.
Yeah.
So this is something that nobody knew about.
And we see that quite often on
Okay.
subdivisions. It's
He sent us
Because
the rules.
Dari, yeah, he sent us rules and procedures,
Yeah.
which this is kind of an outgrowth of,
Oh.
all right? Is that not correct?
Yeah, they
Okay.
definitely touch on each other.
They touch
yeah.
on each other,
Yeah.
okay? And one of the things I said to Dari, in your spare time, since I don't want to see you in there talking all the time and running up and down the halls, why don't you take our zoning ordinances? Because you know how we're pressured at the end before town meeting to come up with things and we never have anything. Last year we didn't have a darn thing because we got all hung up in everything else. So I said to Dari, would you be willing to sit down with, in your spare time, with the book and so on and so forth? So this stuff that you're complaining about getting that nobody knows anything
That
about,
wasn't a complaint, and I take offense to you.
oh, I'm kidding you,
wording it that
Judy.
way.
I'm kidding you, Judy. But anyway, that's, some of this stuff is gonna come out because of that, all right? Because Dari came up with this, and it's a good point, and it makes us think. You remember the man who came in for the sheds out at Gaslight Village?
Yes.
And he just had a little sketch?
Yes.
And we even had one, I believe, this last time on the logging,
Yeah.
where he put NA, it's not applicable. Well, the point of this is that if we have something on our application where the person can say not applicable, then we need to probably have a waiver provision, and we don't. And the letter that's attached these are the Franklin regulations. And if you look over on page 7 of 34, under waivers, that's why he attached this. It says the board may waive any section or provision of these regulations upon a finding or determination of opinion that is consistent with state statute and any applicable New Hampshire Supreme Court rulings. So what Dari is, I believe, saying is this will protect us.
Yes. Yeah.
Did I abbreviate that too much?
No, not at all. I'll just quickly, just add that site plan review regulations, according to state law, must have a waiver provision, and subdivisions regulations may, but they should, in my opinion. Both should have a waiver procedure. So like Franklin does here, there's an actual section in both of those regulations that describes the process and sets the parameters for what the planning board may and may not waive. Generally, there's language saying, they can waive it if, one, it's not relevant to the application, and two, waiving it doesn't weaken the intent of the ordinance. To me, those are the two main things that need to be in place before a planning board should make a decision to waive something.
Now, my question is, from a practical standpoint, how would that work? Would we not use a form?
Well, I mean, I recently worked with the town of Northfield, and when they were sort of really going by the, if they were going by the letter of the law on a particular application, they would require actual letters to be submitted requesting the waivers. Now, sometimes in the midst of a meeting, it would come up that something needed to be waived, and I'm not going to speak for Northfield, but I think sometimes there's ways to say, okay, within the middle of the meeting, you can grant the waiver. We don't need you to write up that letter necessarily, but it's in the minutes, and it's not like it's just some thing that came out of nowhere. But we could decide how we wanted to require what processes needed to be followed.
Could we still use a checklist?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, the way, and this is Chris Northrop I was asking. Chris, are you
Yeah.
sick of me yet with all my questions? Yeah, he basically, I said, yeah, so here we have this checklist. Do you think the board's authority to waive things that are NA is inherent and therefore unnecessary to formalize within the rules of procedure? Or do you think that because the board has provided itself with no waiver procedure, it has no choice but to insist that every submission requirement be satisfied, in which case the NA column is misleading and not relevant? And he was saying if there is no waiver provision in the site plan review regulations, the NA box on the checklist is clear and perhaps it is unclear and perhaps gosh, I can't speak. Is unclear and perhaps meaningless. So he's saying that yes, you can have the checklist, but if you have a column that says NA, you need to somewhere else have a waiver procedure so that if someone checks off NA, the board is enabled to do something about it. Sorry.
NA always raises a question.
Right.
Always. You see NA, you got to say, how come?
That's a good point.
See, that's what I mean, you can't leave us.
That's
We're
right.
crazy.
All right, are there any comments, questions? How do we go about doing it? Can we let you do it?
Yeah, what I would offer to do is write up maybe a procedure, and in researching language, I'll probably look at the surrounding towns: Franklin, Belmont, Sanmerton. Who am I missing? See what they have. So if I do that, I'll pull those together, maybe put them in the back of a packet, and at the front of the packet put my proposal for what a waiver clause would look like, and then you guys could sort of look at that and look at what the other towns have and see if you agree that what we have works, or if maybe you wanted to pull something from another town. And then we'd have to follow the public hearing to we don't need to go to town meeting because this isn't zoning, but we would have to follow a public meeting to incorporate that and make the final change.
All right, that sounds like a plan to me. What the rest of it is.
So in other words, you're gonna do all the work and we're gonna say yay or nay.
That's right.
I like that.
Sort of. Except I wouldn't do it. Yeah, right. It's your work. I'm just the one doing it.
Okay. I don't get that one, but okay.
I make a motion to have Dari revamp our site plan subdivision regulations to include a waiver procedure. Your second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Go to it.
All right.
All right. Next is other business. Does everybody have a copy of the March
13th.
25th?
I have May 13th.
I have May 13th too.
What did I do?
Oh,
said
on the
March.
agenda it says March 20th.
On the agenda, it says March 25th.
Oh, jeez.
We're still in.
Sorry.
It's May
It should
13th.
say May 13th.
Well,
That's because you worked yesterday on a holiday.
who are you?
I did find one mistake myself.
You're getting really efficient, huh?
Dari, you're gonna keep us guessing where you saw the one mistake?
Oh, it's on page 2, the last sentence of the first paragraph. Mr. Bardsley said that he would have to be a fool. There should be the word "be a fool" to do that, because he cuts by hand, and only trees that can be sold by the board foot are worth him cutting.
Bob, you do not have that, Bob. Don't worry about looking for it.
Okay, anybody wanna make a motion to accept as amended?
Say what?
Make a motion to accept as amended?
Well, if I had done it, I would, but I don't have one, so I won't.
What did you just say? That sounded like Dr. Seuss.
It was, cat in the hat.
Do you need a copy of the minutes?
Yeah,
Oh,
it's okay, no, I don't need it now. So
Okay.
everything's over with now.
all right.
Well, I'm not the only one that doesn't have a copy. Barbara's thankfully didn't have one either. So,
What date were those? What did we
May
decide?
May
13th.
13th.
I make a motion to accept the minutes of the May 13th meeting as amended.
There you go.
Second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
You got the word "be" in there.
Come in. I won't.
A good try, sister.
I didn't fly. Usually flies when I'm around other people, you know?
All right.
Correspondence.
Last but not least, unless we have any other business, is the correspondence. Lakes Region Planning Commission, their annual meeting. I think Dory sent us all
An email.
an email
Yeah.
on this. If anybody's interested, you have the email. I don't know. Does the town paper that?
I think so. That's why I stuck it back in there. I did want to mention that. I do believe
Okay.
the town would pay for it. So let me know if you're interested, and I'll confirm that for certain. But I was sort of having an in passing conversation with Joyce, and that's what I thought she said.
I just know, I thought it was awfully expensive for chicken, pork, or Cusco.
For what?
The ambiance.
All right, this is a letter from, to Granite State, from the Department of Environmental Services to Granite State Credit Union. And basically it says that they have they gave them their revised plans and their application, and that the activities shall not cause, or this is what their conditions are. Activities shall not cause or contribute to any violations of the service water quality standards established in administrative rule, environment, and so on and forth. And they have to submit the revised plans, permit amendment prior to any changes in construction details or sequences. And they have to notify the department in writing within 10 days of a change of ownership. They must notify the department in writing prior to the start of construction and upon completion of construction, and it gives where the forms are available. The approved plans, last revised on May 20th, 2014, and supporting documentation in the permit file are part of this approval, and it expires on May 22nd, 2019. And it does not relieve the applicant from the obligation to obtain other local, state, or federal permits. And no construction activity shall occur within a wetland, and without a wetland permit. And I think that's pretty much in keeping with what we expected from the site plan review we did.
Is that a single-story building?
Yes, I believe it is, isn't it? Isn't it? Do you recall?
Is it?
Yeah, yeah.
It is a single-story?
That's my
Okay.
recollection, yeah.
All right, the next is,
I guess I'm not sure, actually, you know what?
I thought there were offices upstairs.
Maybe,
That's-
yeah.
I'm thinking it was
Yeah,
gonna be
that-
like Northway with the,
Yeah, I thought, I just couldn't remember it, but I thought. it
I
was.
don't remember it being a second floor, do you?
I can't remember either way definitively.
No.
Mm. Yeah, 'cause I asked them what they were putting in upstairs.
All right, this is to,
Offices or something.
and I can't pronounce the last name, it's Judy, I think it's one of your neighbors, Jamie Catalasso,
Cataliso, yeah.
This is a zoning board of adjustment decision, saying that they can keep one horse on their property.
That's right across from the high school, holy.
That where all that other stuff is, the hot dog stand was, and,
No, one of those houses, you know, the old middle houses right
oh
there?
yeah, I do remember.
They've got a duplex, a garage, and now it's less than an acre, and they're allowing them to put a horse on there. Holy junk.
Okay, so anyway, this is just a notice
I'm
of the
shocked.
decision.
I never thought they'd go okay with that.
That's where the Twin Rivers is, isn't it, the ambulance service, right there? Your house?
No.
No, no.
Winnisquam High
Oh,
School.
Winnisquam, oh,
Yeah, you got Allen Sewell Jewelers and then those row houses from
yeah,
the mills. It's one of those row houses.
no way.
All right, now here, listen, these are interesting, that's why I'm gonna read them. This approval is pending perpetual compliance with the following. Number one particularly was interesting. Did you read it?
I wrote it, yeah.
Oh.
Well, I guess you read it then.
Number one, this allowance shall expire when the particular horse associated with this application, a 23-year-old, and that's approximate, 14.5 hand, and that's approximate, Appaloosa horse dies.
So
Number-
then they can't have another horse after that?
Right,
Right,
From the
that's
next
basically
section.
what it's saying.
yeah.
And all necessary, number two is all necessary amenities for providing adequate shelter, care, and nourishment to the horse shall be provided in compliance with the applicable regulations. Number three, a suitable fenced padlock shall be created to contain the horse. And four, manure shall be accumulated on an enclosed trailer and removed weekly. That kind
An
of,
enclosed trailer?
I just bought that property and
So who's doing that?
you're interested because of the horse, aren't you?
Yeah,
It's an Appaloosa, not a Palomino,
I
Bob.
don't care.
I don't care.
No, but Appy's a nice horse.
How do you pronounce their last name?
Catalizo,
Catalizos. It's on West Main Street.
and it was, in the end, it was a father going above and beyond for his daughter to bring his daughter's best friend home. So it was kind of,
Touching.
yeah, I guess so. Now that I think about
You know,
it.
that's always interesting to me because when I was on the planning board in 1990 when they changed the ordinance for allowing horses on the property that is called the Buffalo
Oh,
Ranch, or
yeah.
anyway, it was, the property that I had was the horse property on Winter Street, which has 11 acres that back right up.
Yeah, right,
to
right.
the-
We know this one, yeah.
Okay.
It's on the market now.
And
Yeah.
when I was on that committee during that time, never once did I hear about this ordinance. In other words, what I'm saying is, there was a deliberate
Omission.
Oh,
effort,
oh,
a deliberate effort on the part of numerous people in the community to make sure that Bob Haberman did not find out about the thing which was going to prevent his business from continuing like it was
Sure.
before, because I had that horse property,
yeah.
and we were allowed to use the Buffalo Ranch.
Ranch,
Park.
yeah.
Huh.
And I didn't learn about that, believe it or not, until several years after 1990, when it was passed. And I'm on this committee. So,
Jeez,
wow.
Now, I think that was because it became conservation when they let, isn't that what it was? They sold the property? Or they gave it to the town? They gave it to the town, is that right, Judy? They give it to the
That was
town?
given to the town.
They gave
Well,
it
was
to
an
the town.
exchange
Okay, well,
for
it,
something.
and it became the property of the town, and it had to be turned into a conservation area, and that's why they have to permit hunting, and that's why they couldn't allow horseback riding, I think.
And, but how would they keep that from a member of the committee? Of the planning committee?
I don't think it probably even came up, did it? That was before my time.
I came to all the meetings. I was always here, and it was never mentioned while I was at the meeting. And I'm just wondering how that could have happened.
Secret
Uh,
ballot.
Somebody
decided.
I've learned since that it was let's say encouraged by my neighbor, Bobby, what's his name that's associated with the forest,
Hardy.
Hardy, yes, Bobby Hardy. And he never mentioned it to me, and we were right across the street from each other. It was obviously a conspiracy to prevent me from doing it, and the town did it very well.
Dang.
They've done that in other instances, of they change zoning, and then the business that was there all of a sudden is non-compliant. It happens.
Wow.
Unfortunate, but it
Wow.
happens.
Anyway,
All right, the next is the zoning board of adjustment decision. This basically is the Family Tree Restaurant asked for a bigger sign, and they've denied it.
Didn't they already put it up?
I don't know, because I haven't been out that way for a while, or I haven't.
Their new sign has only been up a couple months. I thought that was like retroactive.
This is May 22nd, 2014. It's when this decision went to Christie, which is only a few days ago, so.
Yeah, go on their Facebook, they got their sign put a while ago.
Well, it said granting this variance would be contrary to the public interest because it represents an excessive divergence from the zoning ordinance. Again, maybe we need code enforcement. If what you say is,
Right.
I'm gonna go on there tonight and see.
See when they put it up.
No, that's right on the right, right?
Yeah.
For the
Bill's
pirates thingy there, yeah, okay.
Now, I'm not,
But is Joan still on there?
did you read this? It's on the Winnie Trail.
Oh, no, actually,
Joan that.
Was it Paula's?
gosh, I don't remember that one. What is that?
She and her daughter,
Well, it's-
Stephanie and, gosh, what's the mom's name? They were both with Stephanie.
Surely it's not something that Bob Halen can't listen to.
Nice.
Right,
Nice.
we would know.
The what?
It's about the, I'm not sure what it says. It may say nothing, but it looks pretty official and it's an original copy. That's why
Like, does it get the red on
I
top?
think we have-
Official?
I think we have time to probably,
You want me to read it? Or,
no, you
Well-
can.
all right.
You don't like the way I read?
Oh, no, I'm sorry. No, I don't mind.
Here, read
letting you
it.
Read it all.
Yeah, Darrell, you read it. You read faster and you're more efficient. Oh, did I say that out loud? Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Dear Ms. Alden, the town of Northfield, on behalf of the Winnipesaukee River Trail Association, is planning to construct the Winnipesaukee River Trail Phase 2A, which includes approximately 2,000 linear feet of unpaved multi-use path. The WRTA, Winnipesaukee River Trail Association, a local volunteer nonprofit organization, has championed the construction of the multi-use path from the city of Franklin through the town to the current terminus at New Hampshire Route 140 in Tilton. This 5-mile multi-use path has been constructed on abandoned railroad bed and adjacent to existing railroad tracks of the former Boston, Concord, and Montreal Railroad. Currently, the Phase 1 segment of the constructed path originates in Franklin at the railroad overpass of New Hampshire Route 3 and proceeds easterly to Surratt Park in Northfield. This segment is located on the abandoned railroad bed. The Phase 2 segment of path starts at a temporary unpermitted roadway crossing of New Hampshire Route 311 at Morrison Ave in Tilton and proceeds easterly to New Hampshire Route 140. This segment is constructed within an active railroad right-of-way. Currently, a temporary path routing allows path users to journey from one segment to the other, utilizing Elm Street and School Street in Northfield and Route 3 in Tilton. This project will relocate the multi-use path terminus further westward along Route 311 to a safer railroad crossing location. Engineering studies have been completed to refine the scope and limits of work necessary for this project. Quantum Construction Consultants, LLC, is in the process of evaluating the potential environmental impacts associated with the project. To assist in this evaluation, Quantum Construction is asking that you provide comments relative to the project's potential impacts on environmental, social, economic, or cultural resources by responding to the following questions. Let's see here. There are 10 questions. How do you want to proceed? I mean, do you want me to read the questions and...
Well, why don't you read the questions,
Okay.
and then if we feel it's something you can't answer, or that you need input from us on,
All right.
is that okay with everybody?
Sure.
All right. Are there any existing or proposed community or regional plans that might have a bearing on this project? 2, are there any natural resources of significance in the vicinity of the project, e.g. for example, prime wetlands, floodplains, rare species, etc.? 3, are there any cultural resources of significance in the vicinity of the project, stone walls, cemeteries, historical or archaeological resources, etc.? Please note that Section 106 of the National Historic Preservation Act offers those that possess a direct interest in historical resources, including town officials, historical societies, and historical commissions, an opportunity to become more involved in an advisory role during project development as consulting parties. Those interested should contact the department. 4, are there any public parks, recreation areas, conservation lands, or wildlife waterfowl refuges in the vicinity of the project? Have land and water conservation funds been used in the project area? 5. Are there any locally or regionally significant water resources or related protection areas in the project vicinity? For example, public water supplies, wellhead protection areas, aquifer protection districts, etc. 6. Are there any water quality concerns that should be addressed during the development of this project? For example, stormwater management, NPDES Phase 2, impaired waters, etc. 7. Are you aware of any existing or potential hazardous materials or contaminants in the vicinity of the project? Are there asbestos landfills or asbestos-containing utility pipes located within the project limits? 8. Do you have any environmental concerns not previously noted? For example, noise impacts, farmland conversion, etc., that you feel the department should be aware of for this project? 9. Will the proposed project have a significant effect on the surrounding area? If so, please explain. 10. Are you aware of any existing roadside populations of non-native invasive plant species such as Japanese knotweed, Phragmite, or purple loosestrife in the project area? And that's it.
Isn't that, those questions are more Conservation Commission.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Planning
And I'm
board.
definitely not, yeah, I mean, they also are more someone who's familiar with town, so
Yeah,
I'm glad to hear you say that, because I was thinking I don't necessarily know the answer to these.
I mean, I would go to the conservation,
Yeah,
it just seems to me that it's more appropriate
Yeah, you're right.
that
Oh, there's a list of
that's
other
right.
part, yeah. Conservation Commission. That's the last one on there, so maybe, I don't know.
I'd run it by Catherine too. Throw it in her mailbox, let her do it.
Yeah.
Well, I was thinking Joyce, because Joyce, isn't she on the Winnipesaukee?
Oh.
Isn't she on the committee?
I don't know, but if so, she should definitely look at it. Do you want me to just give it to her?
Yeah, give it to Joyce
Alright.
and see, like, I'm almost thinking, I mean, this is addressed to me, and I don't know whether these other people got it, it's been sent, but was it copied to them, or did they get one just like we got?
I'm thinking they got one just like,
It's going to her, but I don't think we should all answer it. I think
Right.
it should be one answer.
right,
So I would go, that's why
Okay.
she gets the big bucks.
right. I'll check with her.
And then maybe we can all answer it and all sign as all the different commissions or boards or whatever.
Alright,
It seems strange that it came to individually.
yeah. They're just trying to hit everyone probably.
I know, I'm
Mm.
sure. Well, that's Northfield. All right, municipal law lecture, save the date, June 24th, 2014. Dan Crean and Bernie Wall are going to be the featured speakers. The Lakes Region Planning Commission staff is going to do the introductions. The first lecture is land use statute changes and recent case law. Then there's an intermission, and then there's making effective decisions and notices of decisions. And it's over at 9 o'clock. The Lakes Region Planning Commission is sponsoring it in cooperation with the Office of Energy and Planning. It's a targeted block grant program that's providing this. I would recommend going to it.
Judy, you said you wanted to go, right? Yeah.
I wanna go also.
Land use, you know.
They haven't announced the location yet, so.
I was gonna say, it
that's-
says the
yeah.
location is to be announced, but I would think first of all, Bernie Waugh, almost every case law decision that's handed down by the courts or argued in front of the Supreme Court, he's the lawyer. I mean, really, and Dan Crean is just really knows so much about land use. So, I would recommend that everybody go. And can you just make sure that the people who aren't here tonight know about this?
Yeah, they did
We
get
got
the
that.
email, but
I
I'm
don't
kind of
remember
planning
that
on, I'm assuming they'll send out another email when they decide their location, and at that
Okay.
point, I'll send it out again to everyone,
Okay.
yeah.
And what's the date?
It's June 24th.
Well, actually,
Till
over
9
by
p.m.
9.
And
Do you have
I don't know
a-
any idea where it's
I
gonna
might
be.
have.
They used to hold it in Meredith at the community center.
Yeah, but that was, it used to be the local government center that organized it, so I don't know.
Ruin my train of thought.
Last year was actually in, or no, the last time they did it was at, what was it, Guilford Elementary, or no?
I would say.
No, Laconia Middle School. Anyway, sorry. Yeah, it's a different, you know, it's,
Oh, yeah.
I think LRPC is picking up where LGC let go. So there may be some changes.
Which reminds me, what website do we go to
Yeah.
to
Lose that now.
Yeah.
be like
LGC.
LGC used to be for us in terms of answers and cases and is there a website?
Are you gonna ever look under there?
I don't know. I never used the LGC website, really, honestly.
I used to use it all the time.
Really? Yeah, I don't know.
If you use the LGC, you could go in and say what you could search by topic. If it was court decisions, it would come up with all the different court cases
Oh, wow.
involving that. It would come up with all the articles that had been written on it
Yeah. Huh.
by lawyers.
Oh. Is it, and it's definitely not.
It's down now.
Oh, wow.
And I thought something replaced it, but I don't know.
I'll check with Chris Northrup. I'll
See if there's
make sure he
anything.
is sick of
See
me.
if there's anything.
Well,
That's it, guys.
oh, shucks. Hey, we gotta go home now?
Are these workshops?
Market basket load up.
Are these
No
workshops
thanks, I gotta
worthwhile?
talk tomorrow.
Because we get to do all the little housekeeping that we don't get to do in those regular meetings with people here.
I learn a lot through the
Yeah, I mean, if
workshop.
we hadn't had this meeting, for example, tonight, we probably would have just gone ahead, done the June 10th Main Street discussion, and it probably wouldn't have been that productive. So there's one good thing that came out of tonight's,
Yeah.
among
Well,
other things.
and I really do think we all should pat ourselves on the back about handling the that initial logging thing the way we did. We may end up finding out we were illegal. But
Well,
I mean, even if we do,
for me, anyway.
I mean, when you've got that many people in town
They
that are
have a
ready
right
to
to
come
know.
down, they have a right to know something.
Yeah.
And drive by there and look at it. Walk my dogs when you go by my house.
Motion to, or do you want to do?
No, we
someone?
were just gonna hang out.
Yeah, I can hardly wait.
Make a
Alright.
motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All in favor, go home. Do you need a ride home?
Yes.
Would you like a ride home?
Yes.
Do you trust me?
do.
driving?
I do have one if you don't want to take me home.
Either way.
He's got it
This
back
happens
up.
every meeting. They all fight over who gets to take
I
it.
fight over. You wanna go, you go that way, you wanna
Oh,
take them, I
thanks.
don't care.
Either way, I'm going to Market Basket after, so I don't care. I gotta go get some food in the house, the hobo's hungry.
Well, you're just so loved, Bob.
There's no love, Bob.
Thank you.